What's up guys, Dave here. As you all be aware, the Xbox Scorpio will be coming out later on this year, so I'm just going to have a look at what we know so far. From all the information we've received so far, it's not going to be a new generation, it's not going to be essentially the Xbox 2, it's going to be a mid-generation console. The most important thing that this means is that all your games on Xbox One and all the backwards compatible games, they will still work with the Xbox Scorpio. Now a lot of people might not think that's important, but since the Xbox One's not really been out that long, it's been around 4 years, 5 years when the new console comes out, it's pretty soon to bring out a new console, and having to buy the same or similar games all again, it'd be pretty annoying for fans. Especially when you think you'll still have another 3 years out the console. Now like with the Xbox One S, the version of the console that came out last year, the smaller version with the small tweaks to the hardware, the Scorpio won't ship with the Kinect. Now that's excellent news because as we all know the Kinect is abysmal. It's a device that was in theory a good idea, a bit novel, but in practice it's a pile of horse shit. It's as useless hardware can come. Now one of the benefits of this means that none of the hardware will be dedicated towards the Kinect. Like we know for the original Xbox, up to 15% of the Xbox's power was dedicated towards the Kinect. Now they did open up some of that later on for developers to use if they wasn't going to use the Kinect, and none of them did use the Kinect, but still it's nice to know that hardware that's not useful is just cut from the system altogether. So we take a quick look at the graphical output from the Scorpio. The rumours at the moment are that it's going to be anywhere between 6 and 6.5 teraflops. Now when this comes out in the fall this year, 2017, it's going to be about a mid-PC gaming console, but it will be 4K, which is important. Now it won't natively be 4K for all the major AAA games. At the very minimum, it's going to be upscaled, and they're going to be using a system called sparse rendering, which is very similar to the system that the PlayStation 4 Pro is using to get their games up to 4K. Now it won't need to work as hard to get the games up to 4K as the PS4 Pro, but some games will require it. But from the rumours I'm hearing, you won't be able to notice the difference between it being upscaled and for it to be natively 4K, which raises the question is, why does it need the extra hardware in there to begin with if there's no difference between it natively and if you do the sparse rendering? One of the benefits of actually having the extra hardware in the console though means that we can have VR headsets that can be plugged into the console, so it will be on par with the PS4. But the difference between the PS4 and the Scorpio, there's going to be multiple headsets that will be available to use. Now Microsoft, they've not nailed any one headset to the mast. They've basically gone, we don't believe VR is the future. It has a part to play, but we're not fully sold on it. So what they're allowing everyone to do is anyone that's got a virtual reality headset, they're going to be able to make their headset compatible as long as it's Windows compatible. What this means is that we'll see some low-end VR headsets, but we'll also see the Oculus Rift and the Vive come to the Xbox Scorpio. Now some people may be asking, well, I don't have a 4K TV, so what's the point of me getting a Scorpio? Do I really need to get both? Because that's quite expensive just for gaming. Well, if you don't have the 4K TV, you can still get the Scorpio, because what it will do, it will make your games actually run and look better. At the moment, the Xbox One, well, it's a good console, and it tries to go 1080p as well as 30 frames per second. But what it really wants to be is 1080 and 60. Now most of the games can go 1080 and 60 for the majority of the games, but some of the graphic heavy games, they can't quite do that. So what the Xbox does to try and keep it up there with the 60 FPS with the PlayStation, it will slightly lower the resolution. So what the Scorpio will do, it'll allow you to play all your games 100% of the time at 1080p as well as 60 frames per second. This will allow you to have a more immersive experience with your Xbox. One of the things that Xbox has booted out of the console now is the SRAM. The reason they had this in the Xbox One is because they had DDR3 RAM, which is slightly slower than DDR4. So what they've done, they've got rid of that completely and they've upgraded the RAM to DDR4. Now if the rumours are true, there won't be a solid state drive in the console. What there's going to be is a hybrid. Now I know hybrids are nowhere near as good as a solid state drive, but it's still better than a physical hard drive. There's not been much mentioned about how big the hard drive's going to be, but we can expect it to ship with probably 3 variations. There's going to be a minimum of a 500 gig, a 1 terabyte, and a 2 terabyte. We might even see them sneak in a bigger console. If it's going to be a 4K console, installing your games on that, I wouldn't be surprised if they were pushing for 3 and 4 terabytes. Now the price, that's a big thing at the moment. A lot of people are speculating how expensive it will be, how cost effective it will be for Microsoft. Now they will have to sell it at a slight loss, as they always do with their consoles. Now you can expect it to ship at around $500. I can't see it being much more than that really. If it's more than that, it's not really going to sell that well because it's got no main selling points at the moment, apart from being a 4K console. The uptake of 4K TVs at the moment is good, but it's not excellent. And apart from 4K gaming, it's not really selling enough to make you pay over $500 and potentially buy a TV. So I expect that to be the going rate, at least for the smallest version of the console. All those beautiful accessories that you bought for your Xbox One, they will be compatible with the Scorpio. Phil Spencer said a couple of times that no one on the Xbox One will be left behind, so any purchases you've made, you can carry across with you. One thing I missed out about the pricing, Phil, the God Spencer, he has mentioned that he's going to try and work with third-party retailers to have a trade-in system to make it a little bit more smoother for you to purchase your Scorpio. So if you have no reason to have your old Xbox lying around, you could potentially trade it in and get some money off the Scorpio. Like with the Xbox One, expect there to be USB 3 ports so you can plug in your external hard drives to give you extra space. Because let's face it, space is a premium, and the more space you have, the better. The less things you have to delete. You can install all your games. I've currently got over 150 games installed. If I didn't have the external hard drive, I'd be screwed. As far as what the Scorpio is going to look like, well, we just don't know. There's been no rumours, there's been no pictures released or even mock-ups of what they believe it's going to look like. Everyone's been left in the dark at the moment, so we'll all have to wait and see. But we should, over the next couple of months, find out some more information. It is due to fall at the end of the year. It'll be out October, November time, so keep an eye out for it. I hope you liked the videos, guys. If you have, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's always appreciated. I love the support you guys give me. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.